Australia's builders are collapsing and it's about to get worse. Australia's residential construction industry is entering one of the most unstable phases in its modern history. The warning signs are no longer subtle. What once looked like an isolated builder failures has now turned into a systematic crisis, with insolvencies accelerating across the country and the structural weaknesses becoming impossible to ignore. The collapse of major builders over the past 2 years has exposed how fragile the economics of home construction have become, even in a market facing a severe housing shortage. The moment that truly shocked the public came in March 2023, when Porter Davis Homes, at the time Australia's 12th largest residential builder, collapsed almost overnight. The company had thousands of active contracts, and its failure left around 1,700 homes unfinished and hundreds of families holding signed agreements for completed houses. Many buyers had already paid large deposits. Construction stopped immediately, and the sites were left exposed to weather damage and vandalism. What made this collapse so alarming was not just its size, but how suddenly it happened, revealing how quickly even established builders can unravel. In the months that followed, it became clear that Porter Davis was not an exception. Insolvency data released by Australia's corporate regulators shows that construction failures continued to rise sharply after 2020. In the 2022 calendar year, around 1,800 construction firms entered insolvency. That number jumped to more than 2,500 in 2023. Even before 2025 had fully concluded, insolvencies in the construction sector were already tracking significantly higher than the previous year, confirming that the crisis was still intensifying rather than stabilizing. What is especially concerning is the construction industry's growing share of total business failures in Australia. Between mid-2023 and mid-2025, construction accounted for roughly 27% all corporate insolvencies across the economy. No other sector comes close to this level of concentration. This indicates that the problem is not simple poor management or bad luck among individual builders, but a structural failure in how residential construction is priced, financed, and regulated in Australia. The collapse of well-capitalized firms has further undermined confidence in the sector. In early 2025, Robert & Co., a builder backed by billionaire wealth and linked to one of the Australia's largest construction groups, entered collapse after reporting losses exceeding tens of millions of dollars. The company had taken on distressed projects from other failed builders in an attempt to stabilize sites and protect homeowners. Yet, it still could not survive the underlying economics of the market. This sent a clear message that access to capital alone is no longer enough to offset the risks builders face under current conditions. For homeowners, the consequences of these collapses are severe and often devastating. When a builder fails mid-construction, work stops instantly, and families are left with half-built homes that cannot be occupied or easily transferred to another builder. Payouts can take weeks or months, compensation is capped, and in some cases, insurance was never taken out at all. As a result, many families are forced to renegotiate contracts at a far higher price or abandon their projects entirely. Those who attempt to restart construction often face a harsh reality. Quotes from replacement builders are frequently 30 to 40% higher than the original contract price. This is largely because material and labor costs have risen sharply since many contracts were signed several years. Timber, steel, and concrete prices surged during and after the pandemic, and labor shortages have further driven up costs, with skilled trades commanding significantly higher wages due to ongoing workforce constraints. The roots of this crisis can be traced back to the pandemic period, when government stimulus measures dramatically increased demand for new housing. The Home Builder Program, introduced in 2020, injected billions of dollars into residential construction by offering grants to buyers who signed contracts within strict time frame. Builders responded by locking in record number of fixed price contracts, often committing to deliver homes at prices agreed years before construction would actually begin. And at the time, the model appeared sustainable, but it left builders dangerously exposed to future cost increases. As supply chains broke down during the pandemic, the fixed price contract model became a trap. By the time many projects moved from approval to construction, the material costs had risen by as much as 30 to 40%, while labor costs climbed due to border closures and workforce shortages. Builders were legally required to honor their contracts even when the cost of delivering a home far exceeded the agreed price. For many companies, each completed house represented a guaranteed loss, making insolvencies almost inevitable as projects progress. Cash flow pressure has been another critical factor, accelerating collapses. Residential builders typically pay subcontractors and suppliers upfront, while client payments are staged and often delayed by 60 to 90 days. Any disruption, whether caused by weather, material delays, or regulatory approvals, can quickly destabilize builders' finances. When margins are already thin or negative, even short delays can push companies into insolvency, often triggering failures across multiple sites at once. The impact of a single builder collapse rarely stops with the company alone. Subcontractors and suppliers are usually unsecured creditors, meaning they are often left unpaid when a builder fails. This can force smaller businesses into financial distress, setting off a domino effect across the industry. As more subcontractors collapse, remaining builders face higher costs and reduced capacity, further increasing the risk of additional failures. This cycle has become increasingly common over the past 2 years. Despite the scale of the crisis, meaningful policy reform has been slow. Fixed price contracts remain the industry standard, consumer protection laws heavily favor buyers, and builders are given little flexibility to adjust contracts in response to extreme cost shocks. While buyer protection is essential, the current framework has shifted nearly all risk onto builders, creating an unsustainable system where failures are now routine rather than exceptional. Looking ahead, industry analysts warn that conditions are likely to worsen before they improve. With insolvencies continuing into 2025 and early 2026, housing supply is expected to tighten further as fewer builders are able or willing to take on new projects. This comes at a time when population growth remains strong, housing approvals are declining, increasing pressure on the prices and rents across the country. Unless structural reforms are introduced to address contract pricing, insurance protections, and risk sharing, Australia's construction industry may face several more years of instability, with serious consequences for homeowners, investors, and broader economy. This is Rajan Sharma, COO of Investor Partner Group, signing off. Do not forget to like and subscribe if you're interested in watching more such interesting insights. Stay tuned.